Have you ever found yourself sort of waiting, putting off starting something new, like a project, or learning a skill, maybe telling yourself, oh, I'll start when I feel, really ready or when things are just perfect? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone there. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into some really fascinating insights. They come from a source called English Leap: Growth Through Language and Mindset. And it makes this a really interesting point that learning a language, it's actually way more than just grammar rules and vocab lists. It says it's about confidence, it's about your mindset, and, well, growth itself. So, our mission here is to pull out that core wisdom for you. These are insights that honestly go way beyond just learning English. They're kind of a shortcut, maybe, to unlocking momentum and development in pretty much any part of your life. What really jumped out at me prepping for this was how it connects things you wouldn't expect, especially around, how we grow as people.
Exactly. What's so compelling is that holistic view, isn't it? It shows really nicely how these different ideas starting out, your environment, all how they all weave together. It suggests that real progress isn't only about the specific task. It's more about a fundamental shift in how we even approach changing ourselves.
Okay, let's jump right into that first big idea then. This one really made me think. It's this tendency most of us have, right? Waiting for confidence or for that perfect moment that never seems to arrive. This source flat out says progress starts before you feel ready. And the really key part, action comes before motivation. That sounds, well, almost backwards, doesn't it, compared to how we usually feel?
It absolutely does. And that's why it's so powerful, I think. Our brains often trick us.
Yeah.
We feel like we need the motivation first, like it's the fuel. But this flips that completely. It says the doing, even if it's messy, actually generates the fuel. Like the source says, the first step is usually the hardest, but also the most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It really emphasizes that the more you just show up, even when it feels tough, the more confident you actually become. It's almost like your brain gives you a little reward for the effort, reinforcing it.
Ah, like a positive feedback loop.
Precisely. So, think about it for yourself. How often have you held back, waiting for perfect? This deep dive suggests that's exactly where so many people get stuck. Language learning, starting a business, whatever it is.
That makes a ton of sense. And it leads right into the next thing, doesn't it? Because, okay, fine, you take the first step, but how do you keep it going? So the material talks about building momentum through small, consistent steps. It says change isn't like one giant leap. It's a series of small steps taken again and again. He gives these examples like 10 minutes of listening practice or writing a few sentences before bed. But you can apply that anywhere, right? Like one push-up or sending just one tricky email. That principle works across the board.
Exactly right. It's all about that cumulative power.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is key. And momentum, the way they define it here, isn't just random spurts. It's progress that builds over time.
Mm.
And consistent just means, well, doing something regularly without quitting. Simple, but not always easy. The core idea is really clear, though. Don't underestimate small, consistent action.
Mm-hmm.
It really hammers home that it's those daily choices that shape your future. Building a skill, changing a habit, same thing.
Small choices, big impact over time.
Mm-hmm. So for you listening, what's one small, consistent thing you could start today?
Mm-hmm.
Something that feels maybe minor now, but could build real momentum down the line.
And, being able to do those small steps, or frankly, any steps, seems to really depend on what's going on inside our heads, our mindset. The material talks a lot about fear of mistakes, fear of sounding silly, waiting until they feel fluent. I have to admit, my default is often waiting until everything feels perfectly planned out, which usually means I don't start. So this action before motivation thing really resonated. It kind of forces you to face that procrastination.
And that's where this source offers such a crucial counterpoint. It tackles that fear directly with this idea. Mistakes are proof you're learning. That's powerful. It really reinforces that, look, you have to get things wrong first. That's not failing. It's just part how it works. So we're at the process. And this leads straight into the idea of a growth mindset, which is basically believing you can get better through effort. But the tricky part, and where this material gives some useful tools, isn't just knowing that. It's actually living it, especially when those old fears pop up. It mentions practical things for reprogramming your thinking, and not just positive thinking fluff, but really trying to rewire those deep responses, things like affirmations, visualization, and journaling.
Interesting tools.
Yeah. So maybe think about your own internal chat right now. Is your mindset helping you or holding you back? What's maybe one tool from that list you could try out? Just experiment with it.
Okay, so mindset is huge, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle, apparently. The material then kind of zooms out a bit. It highlights how much our surroundings matter. It just says point blank, who you surround yourself with, it matters. And it draws a pretty sharp contrast between supportive environments and, well, negative ones.
And it explains the impact really clearly. Basically, if you're around people who support you, who talk about goals, who are also trying to grow, you'll grow too. Makes sense, right?
Totally.
But the flip side is also true. If your circle is negative or never challenges themselves, you might stay stuck even if you want to change. So a very practical nudge, really, to ask yourself, okay, who inspires me? Is the community I'm in actually lifting me up?
Oh, it's a tough question sometimes.
It can be. So for you listening, maybe take a quick inventory. The people in your life, are they helping you move forward, or maybe, without meaning to, holding you back?
So we've covered action, consistency, mindset, environment, all these big ideas, and it feels like they all kind of funnel down into this one very direct challenge from the source, which is simply, what's one small step you can take today? Just one. And it gives examples again, like speaking English to a friend or joining an online class, writing a journal entry.
Right.
But like we said, it applies to anything. Reaching out to that contact, spending 15 minutes clearing your desk, making that phone call you've been avoiding.
Right. Whatever that one small thing is for you, it matters. That's the core message. This isn't about hitting a home run on day one. It's just about getting into the game. It's about starting. Taking that first step. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to happen.
Right. So the challenge is there.
Absolutely. We're challenging you directly. What's your one small change you can make happen today?
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from you? I think this deep dive really shows that real growth, lasting change, it's not really about waiting for some lightning bolt of inspiration or making some huge dramatic gesture. It's more about consistent, deliberate action, even tiny actions, and coupling that with a real belief that you can learn and change.
Yeah, and if we connect that back out,
Yeah.
it raises a pretty big question, doesn't it? If action comes before motivation, like the source says, and if mistakes are proof you're learning, then what potential might you be leaving on the table right now, just by waiting, or by being afraid of that first imperfect attempt? What one small change today could actually shift your whole direction tomorrow?
So maybe the final thought is this. Don't just think about what you want to learn or achieve. Think about who you might need to become to get there. And then what's that one tiny, maybe slightly brave step you can take, like right now,
Yeah.
to start becoming that person?